Welcome to Accounting High. So JAX is our AI companion. So he's still being tested, little old JAX. He
or she.
He or she.
Would you personify Xero as a he or a she or an it?
I think they're genderless.
I mean, when you have it's a boy, it's blue.
Yeah, but girls can be blue too.
Yeah, everybody can be blue if they're sad.
May I have your attention, please?
Accounting High.
From cloud accountancy way back to desktop accounting advisory and tech apps adopt. Went solo with the rap, Scotty's still the same. Raleigh is the spot where I edutain. Like, share, connect, comment, follow this. And subscribe to our podcast. Next when we drop, cause you know it don't stop. It's 24/7 on the Accounting High lot. TikTok clips don't watch, just some shitty tax talk. Cleaning up accounting with a bucket and a mop. Then we lean back and nod, cause the class is about to start at Accounting High. Scotty, OKR.
Accounting High. Accounting High.
Introducing the star of our show!
Scotty and Becca Smith.
We're gonna have a problem here.
What up, students? Class is in session today. I've got with me somebody from across the pond. It's Becca Smith from Xero. Becca, thank you for joining me today here at Accounting High.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I love the intro.
Like the intro? Thank you. Becca and I met at XeroCon several weeks ago.
Firstly, the performance at XeroCon, I will just say, was epic. It was so cool. So you should do that as an episode alone. Get that recorded, put that live as it is.
Maybe we'll do that on this episode, since this is a Xero theme bleeding throughout, and we'll play it at the end.
Yeah, love it.
I'm excited to have you on here today because we're going to talk about education in the profession. Students, Becca is an education lead over at Xero. She's also a trained accountant. She used to be an accountant. We usually start these shows and these episodes with how you got into it. Becca, tell us how you got into accounting.
How did I get into it? Kind of got into it by accident, to be honest. I had my son when I was quite young. Didn't really know what I was going to do in life, and just I worked in a shop.
So for context, that was 18 years ago. And what were you?
16.
16.
16 when I had him, yeah. So, yeah, he is now 18. He's just passed his driving test. Thank the Lord.
Congratulations. That's cool.
Oh, thank you. I've got some freedom now that I haven't had for a long time. Worked in a stationery shop. People used to come in all the time getting really excited about how much they love stationery. And I was like, great for you. Let's swap jobs. Just decided I want to do something more than just sell pens with my life. So my mum happened to teach accounting at our local college. And so I was chatting to her one Sunday, I think it was, and I was like, what am I going to do? And she said, well, why don't you just come along and see what you think of accounting? And I was like, oh, okay, why not? Obviously, I worked full time. I had a child. So I went to an evening class and just kept going. And genuinely, that is how it happened. I just started going to her evening class, kept going.
So your mom is a teacher?
She used to teach accounting.
Okay.
She's also a qualified accountant. She's since worked at Xero and then kind of moved on to go somewhere else now.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So it is really all in the family, too.
Yeah.
So you could say by accident, but it sounds like you kind of followed some footsteps a little bit, too.
Yeah. I mean, maybe subconsciously there was some of that, but yeah, the conscious part of it was all very much by accident.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, went and got a job in a local accounting firm doing what I'm sure a lot of people will become familiar with in, no time at all. So, yeah, like VAT for us in the UK, but tax returns, personal or self-assessment tax, company accounts, payroll, like all of that sort of stuff. Did that for about 4 years or so. And then wanted to kind of see what else there was apart from the stereotypical kind of accounting jobs out there. I also had a few friends that had done accounting qualifications and they had all gone in very different routes, whatever you want.
Well, we say them both here.
Oh, wonderful. So I wanted to see what else there was out there. And so I started looking around And then the job came up at Xero. And so I was like, oh, it sounds quite cool. I'm not sure I can do that, but let's apply and see
It doesn't sound stereotypical.
No?
No. I mean, accounting, the jobs that you had prior, you said that they were very stereotypical. What did you mean by stereotypical? Just debits, credits, just doing the books?
Yeah, so I think when you're thinking of accounting, a lot of the time it is doing accounts, preparing accounts, bookkeeping. And I wanted to take it in a different direction from that.
Yeah, so you blended a little tech into it.
Yeah.
And so why Xero? You say you saw the ad for Xero. Why not go work for one of the other companies or anything? What was it about Xero?
Obviously, when I was in our practice, the firm I was in beforehand, we used a whole selection of different softwares. We use kind of the three main ones that we have in the UK, as well as some other smaller softwares. I just found Xero the easiest to use. If I got a job given to me, I would always pray that it was a Xero job. And then if it wasn't, it would be a lot harder because they were just so much more difficult to navigate. So I always wanted the Xero jobs if I could. So yeah,
so
it would never been.
And could you describe why Xero? Why Xero over the others?
It was just easy to use. There were a few. I've got to be careful now because I'm very much here as Xero.
You are a Xero, yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to, but I'm trying to put you back to before you were a Xero.
There were a few things that just didn't make sense to me in some of the other softwares. Like the way things would be auto-coded or the way things would move around in the balance sheet, for example.
It's like context shifting too. So if you're using the same product over and over again, and if you prefer that, then going to the other ones, you're always going to have difficulties.
Yeah, you're always biased, aren't you? Yeah, I didn't like how they worked, but I just found Xero to be the most intuitive by a long way because when I was in my previous practice, we didn't necessarily get the training that we ever wanted on the softwares that we used. And so trying to figure it out with a lack of training, I just found that Xero made the most sense. I could figure it out.
I love how you said it was intuitive. No pun intended.
No, but when I do say that word, I do think of something else at the same time, which is really frustrating.
Yeah, I've always described Xero as intuitive. I always used to say that comparing it to the other one, the other green one out there. And it's because it felt like that's what it was. It was just a good feeling that I had. Whenever I used it, it just felt better. Obviously, me being in the US, there were things that were difficult because of the language or the words used or certain things on reports and other things that were just, I could tell that this was put together overseas, at least compared to what we were used to. So there were certain things to get used to for us, but for you, this was made for your neck of the woods.
But it was still made overseas for us.
Okay. That's right. That's right. There is still another pond to climb over to get to Australia or New Zealand.
Half a world for us to climb over to get there. So yeah, I guess there probably would be a few little discrepancies, but I think the way things work in the UK and Australia and New Zealand are very similar. But I know there are a lot of differences between the US and other countries. So I guess I can
get
understand.
Into that too, for sure.
Yeah.
But one of the main things is this being the accounting, that language itself was universal. So whether it is Australia, New Zealand, UK, or US, this language of business we're all fluent in that, or at least we're all doing the same things. So at the core, it's all the same functions. So so you ended up going to work for Xero. How was that? What were you doing there at Xero?
So I've joined straight into the education team. Back when I did join, it was nearly 7 years ago now. So it was November 2017. I joined as an education specialist, which meant that role that I was in at that time is all about delivery. So we do a lot of webinars. I'm in one of our webinar rooms now. So we do a lot of webinars, and also there are classroom sessions that we do. The UK is obviously a lot smaller than the US. So we travel around the country. We do different live events, sometimes Xero events, sometimes
roadshows.
Yep, roadshows. Sometimes there's accounting conferences that we'll go to, and there will be other accounting softwares, but also, for example, you'd have like other payment services, or you might have inventory apps or banks or whatever, kind of everything that businesses and accountants would need come together. So we would present at those events. So it's a lot of talking, really, a lot of live delivery, but also kind of a lot of prep, like scripting, rehearsals, all of that, which I absolutely love. So I joined straight into that role, and that was a big role. So at the time, going from doing what I'd been taught for however many years when I was doing my qualifications, being the tax returns, the accounts and so on, and then taking that skill set and speaking to accountants, kind of the people that had been my peers for so long. It's such a 180 flip in how you then have to look at things. And it takes quite a while to get used to talking to the clients to then kind of flip that and talk to the accountants.
And that's become your clients are the accountants, and the people
Yeah.
you're teaching used to be you. And that's one thing that Xero has done very well in all countries is focus on the relationship with accountants, teaching accountants. That's one thing that I loved about Xero was the community around accountants that they built and intentionally went and helped accountants. So that sounds like that's what your job was, to speak to accountants and get in front of more accountants and also develop and educate them around the software, but also around anything else that could be helpful too. So what kind of content were you delivering, or what were you teaching? Was it mostly just how to use Xero, or what was it initially?
It was mostly how to use Xero, but we do talk to people kind of at all stages of their journey. So people that are in that discovery phase they've just heard of us. They're like, what do you do? So we can kind of show them what Xero is about, right through to the more advanced tips and tricks, the stuff that you'll know once you've been using Xero for a while. So we kind of cover all of that. But it isn't just that side of things. So sometimes we do talk to businesses directly because not all businesses are associated to an accountant. Some of them try and go it alone. And we have got our advisor directory, which I believe you know about. So we do try and push those businesses into the advisor directory to go and find themselves an accountant, because we all know that they will always do better with the help of an accountant, somebody that understands how that business works, that country works, that state works. And so they can then have that expert in that field helping them along. So they'll always do better with an accountant. We'll speak to the businesses, and we run for them content that is based on kind of how Xero works, but also some of the other skills they might not have because they don't have the qualifications or the knowledge on bookkeeping or accounting. They haven't set up their business to do accounts. They've set up their business because they have a passion for something else. The bookkeeping or accounting side of it is something that just kind of has to go along with it. So we'll teach them what we call the basics of bookkeeping. And so like that is a session that sits completely outside of Xero, and it just goes into detail about what a P&L is, what a balance sheet is.
What's a debit and what's a credit?
Yeah. Like how do they work? And then we basically go on to say, that is actually quite complicated, but Xero does it. So as long as you kind of keep your records up to date and we really hammer home the importance of doing that, then the rest of it is going to happen on its own. Yeah, we speak to both audiences, but also depending on what is happening with legislation, kind of the economy, we'll also have content on that. So we have spoken, we've interviewed in the UK, HMRC are our
What's HMRC?
So HMRC is like our tax authority. So it is now, because we now have a king, it is His Majesty the Revenue and Customs.
Wait. I didn't realize it. That's right. Who's the king?
King Charles.
King Charles. All right.
Charles.
Yeah. I don't think I've been keeping up with that. So you got a king now.
Yeah, our queen died a couple of years ago, sadly.
So that's like our IRS, though, right? Our IRS is like your HMRC.
Yeah, so okay. I can't even say it. His Majesty's Revenue and Customs.
Oh, okay. And that was Her Majesty first. Okay, so they didn't have to change the acronym. They got to just change the word.
Yeah, they planned that well back in the day.
They scaled. It's scaled.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So
I have done webinars with them where I've interviewed them on whatever kind of the hot topic is at that time. When we went through COVID, let's not bring that up too much, but we had content based around business continuity, so change management, and with what's going on at the moment, what are all these different government schemes that are going on and this and that, and like bringing it all together and serving it up to our users in more easy to understand bite-sized chunks for them. So it really depends on what is happening and then we'll kind of go with it and try and serve up what our accountants and sometimes businesses need from us.
So what's the strategy for the in-person events? So there's always been road shows in between XeroCons, and there's XeroCons, and you're a globetrotter now. You're traveling across the world with all the different XeroCons and presenting and at the road shows. What's the strategy behind that? Is it to build community? Is it to sell more of the product? Is it to get more accountants on board?
It really depends on the event. So different events have different goals. XeroCon is, as you all know, our flagship, and that's a beast. XeroCon is a beast.
It is a beast.
It's a good one. The purpose of that really is community. Like the main people we have there are our, if you want to say, kind of hardcore accountants and bookkeepers. And that is the time that we really try and shout about kind of what we're doing to help you, what else you have, like what we've heard from you that you need and what we're going to serve up to you now to kind of help you and your clients even more. So yeah, XeroCon is a space to bring everybody together. As you saw, we had the Xero Awards as well at XeroCon. So it's celebrating the successes that our partners have seen over the last year or so. That is XeroCon. But then there is roadshows. So roadshows spans quite a vast set of our users. That can be the people that kind of live and breathe Xero, but that can also be people that are brand new and looking at maybe using Xero for their practice. In the UK, we're actually doing roadshows, and it's kind of a bit of a recap of what we have announced at XeroCon, because obviously not everybody can come to XeroCon. Mm-hmm. So we want to bring it to those partners that couldn't make it for whatever reason.
And it's a little more intimate. You can get and speak to almost everybody there. So I can say what this stuff means to me. So as an accountant who has always been using Xero since I found it back in 2013, maybe 14, I go way back, and it brought community and it brought something different. It was always a different feeling that I got from everything else out there. It was, and I was very passionate about it from the beginning because of the feelings that it gave me. It was just like you said, with the software, it was just easy. It was just intuitive. It just was cleaner. It just felt better. The branding was so spot on. And then I'm starting to hear about XeroCon. Like, it was before I heard about road shows, and our account rep gave us tickets to go to XeroCon. My first XeroCon changed my life. And I already say Xero changed my life because it changed the trajectory of our firm. I've talked about it a lot on the show, how we grew, and our firm is primarily 90% Xero. But meeting the people and being on the XPAC, and so all of the things that they built around community with accountants, you might say, and some people outside of it might say, this is just trying to sell more product. And essentially it is, but they care about the people and the relationships and the accountants. The events and this road shows, they do them in the US too. I mean, what your strategy in the UK is same in the US. It really is building people and building community around collaboration. It's hard to describe because we're accountants and we like everything in its right place. Debits, credits, everything fits. Everything's a puzzle and everything has a right answer. But stuff like this and like the feeling stuff, you just can't put your finger on it. It's like magic. Yeah, so I always say, like, that's why I wrote the rap for Xero, and that's why I feel so strongly about it. There's something to that, and there's something to spending all that time educating and teaching, because you're getting fulfillment out of it too. You sound like you really enjoy what you're doing, and you really enjoy meeting the accountants, because you are an accountant too. They could have just hired somebody off of the street that doesn't know anything, that isn't an accountant, but they're hiring account. How many other people that work at Xero actually were former accountants?
So it's funny you say that. So since I joined, I have become the team leader, as you said at the beginning, of the education team. And into this team, because this team speaks directly to accountants, be it via webinar, classroom, or kind of in-person at events, it's so important to me that my team understand what those accountants are going through, that they understand the questions they're asking them and the challenges they're facing. So we only hire accountants into this team because you can't teach the experience that you get from being an accountant and being in practice. So it has to be authentic. So we only hire accountants because they understand, and I've seen firsthand, that goes such a long way when they realize that you do know what you're talking about and you have felt those same experiences that they have. So that really gives us a lot of credibility when we do speak to our partners. But across the business, obviously, not all roles require accountancy knowledge.
Yeah, don't hire all the accountants. We need them too. I got to
Oh,
hire
yeah.
them. Yeah.
But just going back to what you were saying about kind of the feelings that Xero and Xerocon gave you, that isn't just surface deep. Like, that goes much further than what you'll see at our events. It feels the same doing it from this side as well, because you go into a Xero office here in Milton Keynes, it could be in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and everybody has the same kind of attitude or the same way of looking at things. And you're made to feel welcome, and everybody loves what they do. They all kind of are striving for the same purpose. And I think particularly in our team in education, because of what we do, because of how we have to kind of put ourselves out there, we're very visible because of the webinars and the on-stage stuff. And so the bond that the team have that do this job is something that you really can only feel. Like, you can't kind of explain it. Like, you have to have such a connection with everybody else in the team, because when you're on stage together and there's kind of two of you up there and you've got 1,000 people looking at you, you need to be able to speak without speaking. And so, yeah, it really does go a lot deeper than just kind of the few events that we do. Like, it does go right through to the core.
So it's more than just a job. It's a team, and it's a bond that you've kind of created, and you're like the coach of this team. And I understand too, you're also a runner. We don't get the privilege of seeing all of your medals, but you've probably got like 50 or 60 medals from your running events. That's not a team sport, unless you're doing relays.
You say that isn't a team sport, but I do have I'm going to say, good reputation of happily persuading all of my team to run with me.
Ooh, okay. So you've turned it into a team sport.
Yeah, like, they join the team and they're not runners, and they get a few months in and they're running.
What does that do for their mental health?
They love it. I actually get a lot of good comments from them that they kind of laugh at me for coaxing them into it, but then they really, really enjoy it.
It's great. And when you get outside, it does wonders for your exercise in general does. So I'm sure that it's also building better bonds, and you're becoming a better leader and a coach, because you're pushing people to do maybe some uncomfortable things too. But at the end, I'm sure they really enjoy those kind of things.
Yeah, it's when they can start to achieve something that they never thought they could do before. And that comes in both elements, kind of the running and the delivery, the presenting side of things.
Yeah. So tell me how you got started into running, because you're a competitive runner.
Oh, competitive with
myself. With
myself.
Yourself. You compete with yourself. You have all your personal bests.
That isn't a very fun story, to be honest. I just, it's the typical, like, I need to lose weight. So I started running. I didn't need to lose weight.
I think that a lot of people need to hear stuff like that, because others need some motivation to get started in their physical journeys too.
But yeah, it was the typical, I'm however old, I don't know, 22 back when I started maybe. And I was like, I'm so fat. I need to do something about it. And so I was like, I'm going to run.
Got a 6-year-old at home.
Still got the baby
trying
weight.
To do the math. So you started running though, but you also had a passion for it and you continued with it. That's your hobby now. And that's something outside of work. So you've got work that's filling up your cup, but that can't be all of it. So you got to have other things outside of that too. Let's talk about accountants in the world. You're based UK, Australia. I've always said this is it feels like you guys are just more advanced than us based on the stuff that I was hearing from Xero and the stuff that I was hearing outside of the US. It sounds like we are kind of backwards. I mean, we're a new country. We're a brand new country we're a baby next to UK. Yet we're doing things still kind of backwards, like checks, like cash, like all the features that Xero has had to add over the years because the US needed it and asked for it. And I know that I'm empathizing with our students and our listeners here because it was useful for us too whenever they added these features. We've got a lot of businesses that still use checks.
Yeah, that blows my mind. That is honestly mind-boggling. I think I might have said to you when we caught up after XeroCon that I haven't seen an actual check for over 5 years. Like, it has been a long time. Back when I was in practice nearly 7 years ago, of all the clients that I dealt with, only one of them still use checks. Yeah, they've been a thing of the past for quite some time. And I think, again, hate to bring it up, but COVID really helped to kind of get rid of cash as well. So we've got, in the UK, it really is just kind of, I'm going to say online payment, but card payment. It could be on your phone, it could be on your watch. But any payment that doesn't involve kind of physical cash, be it notes, coins, or checks, like those sorts of payments have gone. So it really is kind of the next generation of payment tech, if you like. And when we look at the regions that we work in at Xero, I would say the UK is kind of middle of the market. If we have a look at the likes of ANZ, Australia, New Zealand, they're further ahead than we are. They are the ones to watch. Like, keep an eye on what Australia are doing. And generally, I would say, if you look at the history of it, they're leading the way. Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting to see what they're doing next, because we will be doing that at some point here, and then there in the US as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a guide to look ahead. And it's also because of the geography, because of the banking system. I think that lends itself to make it easier to make changes or to remove certain things. The reason I think we're so lagging is because we're also so segregated or separated when you've got the massive land mass that we're using, 50 different states, all different locales, thousands upon thousands of different banks that you could use. And it's just harder to affect change and to make change to advance here, at least compared to what I've seen in Australia, in the UK. It just seems that you guys are kind of coasting along when it comes to some of the difficulties we have as accountants here.
Yeah, I think because of the size of America, that's going to make it so much harder to propel these changes forward and do it en masse. And I think it does need to be a standard that's set, and then over time states can adopt that way of doing it before it then kind of becomes way of life. But when I was over there for XeroCon, it was really interesting to see how businesses wanted things to be paid for. I went for a run one morning and we wanted to go and get some iced coffees because it was very hot in Nashville.
It's very hot.
So we wanted to get some iced coffees afterwards. And they only accepted cash or like actual card. I couldn't pay on my phone. And so we had to walk away. Yeah, I couldn't get it because I couldn't pay on my phone. And I had 3 or 4 cards set up on my phone and it wouldn't take any of them because I didn't have the actual card. And
you didn't have any cash.
Oh, no. I didn't touch a single note when I was in Nashville. Yep. Not once.
Fair. Not that you would need to, but when you do travel overseas, sometimes they say to get currency or get cash and things like that, but you shouldn't need to anymore. And I think it's getting better in the U.S. In the U.S., when I go to, it depends on which city you go to, or again, because the landmass is so huge, but it depends on the places you go. You could get by without any cash in most cases now. And most cases are aggressively trying to get rid of cash too. But we still have systems. How is tipping over there? Do you guys have tipping?
Not really. Most people in the UK don't tip. Unless there is a particular reason, unless you've got somebody in your group that has got some crazy allergies and so it's particularly difficult, or you're a huge group, or somebody has gone like really above and beyond or something like that. But as like a day-to-day, you wouldn't tip. Mm-hmm. On the whole, most people don't think it's something that's necessary. I would say a decent chunk of people in the UK would have the opinion of, well, I'm not tipped for my job, so why should I tip you for yours?
Fair.
So yeah, it's not really the done thing.
So let's go back to Xero. What are some of the initiatives or the things that you guys are doing to attract new accountants that don't use the product or aren't exposed to it? What are some of the initiatives you're doing?
It's really just about kind of product fit for the markets that we're looking at entering. A really big thing for us is payments. By having a good payments offering and having it connected to Xero will directly impact cash flow. Businesses, clients, you want to make sure that they are receiving payments quickly. So they need to be offering their customers multiple payment options because you need to be coming to your clients with the payment options that they want. If you aren't offering them the payment options they want, they will likely go elsewhere. Just like me with my iced latte when I was in Nashville, I went somewhere else.
Did they already make the coffee and you still went somewhere else? Or you
No,
saw, okay.
I'd learned by that point that it's really hard to pay for things in Nashville. So I asked, can I pay this way? And they said no, so I left.
Yeah, so they lost the customer right there.
Yeah, there were going to be 3 coffees, so not just one. So yeah, making sure that you are offering customers the payment options that they want and that they are then connecting into Xero to kind of feed everything in. But on the flip side, you are also dealing with suppliers, vendors, whatever you want to call them. You need to make sure that you are playing by your own rules. You're wanting your payment in by your deadlines. You've got to do the same for your vendors. At Xerocon, we announced a partnership with Bill for bill payments directly from Xero. Again, trying to make those payments as quick, easy, and seamless as you can. You don't want it to be a big job having to go and pay vendors. Nobody likes to spend money anyway, do they? So let's make it as painless as we can.
Frictionless.
Yeah, exactly.
There was another drop too. There's another announcement.
There were loads.
Yeah, I know. But there was one where you can pay with your phone. What is that called?
There was. So yeah, tap to pay.
For our students, yeah.
Yeah, so this blows my mind. So tap to pay, it's powered by Stripe, who is a very big payment service that connects over to Xero. And it basically means that when you're in the Xero accounting app, you would raise the invoice for the customer and you'd then go to add the payment and you'd have 2 options. You could just kind of record a payment that you've made, or you could take the payment in that moment. So you would you press kind of take payment and your phone screen then kind of transforms into essentially like a POS, a point of sale system. So you then kind of, I've got my phone here. So you would have your phone, you would kind of just lay it out. They would then tap their bank card or their phone if they're using that as a payment option. And they would then take payment directly onto their phone.
In the past, for context, in the past, before something like this, if you were to take payment with a customer, right, they handed you a check or they handed you cash. But this other option is, I don't have any check or cash, but I have my phone and I have some cards set up on my phone that I can pay with. Here, tap your phone together and it just pays.
And it's done.
Contactless. That's fascinating.
Cool.
That could solve our cash problem.
Hopefully. Yeah, as long as you've got internet, and there is no reason why this won't work.
As long as you have internet. And Xero couldn't do that before. There wasn't like a third-party app that you can pop in and get payments contactless. Or you had to have a device.
Yes.
You had to have something separate.
Exactly.
So you did have third-party apps, but you would have to carry around a dongle or something plugged into your headphone jack or somewhere where you can swipe the card. This is actually, if somebody has, what if they have a card, and maybe I'm asking too technical of a question, but what if they have the card that's contactless that just has the RF chip? Do they just hold the card next to the phone and the phone will read that?
Yeah, exactly that.
Wow.
As long as you've got your phone on you, which I think nearly everybody always has their phone on them.
Assume, yeah.
And you've got internet, you can just take payment from your customers straight away. It's amazing. But there was also a few other kind of payment releases at XeroCon.
Yeah.
So we had SMS invoices. So you can text them directly over. So it kind of lands into their phone messages. There were payment links. So you can send links straight over to the customer and they can pay that way, just kind of, again, for ease. So yeah, there's a few different things in the payments world. But I think tap to pay and bill integration for bill payments, they are the biggest two that are really going to revolutionize the payments world in the US.
So another big feature announcement was JAX. Can you
Had a feeling you were going to say JAX.
Yeah. I like the name. I like the acronym, and I love what it stands for. Just Ask Xero. Tell me about JAX.
So JAX is our AI companion. He's still being tested, little old JAX. But yeah, he or she.
Would you personify Xero as a he or a she or an it?
I think they're genderless.
I mean, when you have it's a boy, it's blue.
Yeah, but girls can be blue too.
Girls can be blue too. Yeah, everybody can be blue if they're sad. So.
Well, yeah.
But we have to increase the dopamine here. So Xero could be
go for a run?
genderless. We're going to say genderless.
Genderless, yes. So JAX, you can WhatsApp, you can email, you can chat to JAX within Xero and ask it to check things and then kind of do things off the back of that. So at XeroCon, I think the example we had was, can you see if Rachel, our customer, has made a payment. No, okay, the payment is late. Can you add a late payment fee onto the invoice? So it will then update the invoice and then send that out. You could get JAX to raise a quote for a customer and then send it out. And you can do this on the go wherever. So instead of having to make a list and then go home or go back to the office and then do all this admin, you can just do it as it comes to mind. Just send a quick message or a quick email and then let JAX do that work for you and then get on with your day.
It sounds like as if you had a personal assistant sitting at an office that could just do stuff on command, that was always there waiting for your command. Somebody sitting there right in front of the computer.
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and do this? And you're doing it through voice command in a lot of cases. You can do voice command to the text. You send it out, and then it just fetches whatever it needs. And I'm sure, like you said, it's just getting started. It's just getting its footing here. So it may make some mistakes early on, but it's learning as it goes too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's an AI tool. And so AI is generative. So it gets smarter the more you use it. So I would expect that as we get further into JAX, the more intelligent and the more helpful it will be over time.
What do you mean when you say generative? I know it's called generative AI, but in this context.
Improved iterations, if you like. So it kind of, it gets more intelligent as you go.
It's learning.
Yeah.
Machine learning, as they say.
Yeah, exactly that.
Dope. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about having a personal assistant within Xero. That could be really cool, and the possibilities are endless. What's the future look like for accountants then? Are we going to need as many accountants if we have software doing a lot of stuff for us? We don't need those assistants at the office.
That is the never-ending question. Yes, we absolutely are going to need accountants. So I think it's just a case of the job of the accountant just evolves. It just keeps changing. I think if you look at the job of the accountant now compared to 15, 20 years ago, it's so different. I mean, if you look at the job of a phone now to 20 years ago, what could a phone do? Like, you could make phone calls most of the time to a landline. If you look at a phone now, you can take it anywhere with you. You can use it for internet when you're on a plane. You can use it to accept payments. So just look how that has evolved. Like, the phone is still as fundamental to our lives, probably more so than it was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It has just evolved in what we need from it. So I think it's the same with the account.
More fundamental than it was years
ago. Like, if you walk out the house without your phone, you feel naked.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that 20 years ago. So it is like an extra limb that you've got. And I'm not saying that accountants are going to be there every breathing moment of the day.
Do you run with your phone?
Yes.
Really? Do you have something that holds it? You don't hold it in your hand.
No, I have like pockets on my leggings or shorts.
Okay. I was going to say, like, and sometimes I need a break from my phone. Sometimes I actually intentionally put it away, or I'll go out on a walk without it just so I don't have it there, because I feel like, and there was another session during Xero that talked about the impact that it's had. Several sessions. It was great sessions at XeroCon this year.
Good.
And just the impact that the phone is having in the future and the future of AI. We had a great session on that. But the impact that the phone is having on us too. You know, how our necks are hurting and our back because we're looking down at our screens all the time. So it's probably going to also be important that the phone becomes we become less and less dependent on it. So I'm always bringing the counterbalance to your points here. But in essence, we want to be able to use the phone less, to have more human-to-human connection and contact. And I think that's what it's going to enable us to do, is we will be able to talk to our clients more, spend more time with people outside or somewhere, at roadshows, at conferences, in person, at lunches with clients. We can spend more time interacting because the tech is doing so much for us. It's going to automate, and it's beautiful. It's awesome.
But that really brings it back full circle, because you've gone from, again, 20 years ago, kind of having to go and see people and leave the phone behind, to then it being all consuming. And then we're now trying to tear ourselves away from that to then go back to the human interaction. It might do the same sort of thing with accountants. They will always be needed, because there is so much knowledge in an accountant's head that the business will never have. A piece of software will never have. And so the accountants and the bookkeepers will always be a necessary part of business in general. But I think that is why it is so important to stay ahead. So keep an eye on the trends that are happening in your state, your country, but also have a look at the trends that are happening around the world that are likely going to be the future of those businesses' needs. You know what they're going to come to you with, but also you can be a step ahead. Like if you've seen in Australia, in the UK, and wherever else, in other states, that businesses are now starting to use, let's go with tap to pay, then have a look at it, get to know it, look to introduce it to your clients, use it yourself beforehand so that you understand it and then you can help your clients lead the way.
Lead the way like in your races, like you're running. Right? Trying to bring it full circle.
Yeah, I love it.
I'll do one more full circle moment. We can try to watch the rap and we'll close us out. This is the Xero rap. So I'll just give a little bit of context for our students. If you don't know, now you know. I rapped at XeroCon. I worked on this one for months and months and months. I started writing it in April, and this meant a lot to me. Xero's been my ground zero forever, or not forever, since about 2014. It was awesome to be able to perform this. So,
if you, like me, are a hip-hop fan, but you've always wished the lyrics included more spreadsheet references, this is the niche content for you. So stay on your feet, put your hands together, and please welcome Scotty, OKR Scarano.
Approximately 18 years ago, under the direction of New Zealand's Raj Ruri and in the interest of computer security, a single unified ledger, Accounting 2.0, was established. This tool's primary objective was to decentralize accounting and spread this software-as-a-service model across our planet, connected by a global network of remote services called the cloud.
We in the cloud with Xero. 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 We in the cloud with Xero.
Yo, this new cloud accounting tool woke into it to bestow an evolution, a beautiful blue tech solution. Xero showed the masses what an app was with cash coding to shatter the globe's reliance on desktop as we know it. I'm talking about the grand invention around 2007 when Xero would grow out of New Zealand for technologically advanced tenants, simple finance, safe program, and browser-based sessions. 2012 had lots of skeptics, and the mobile version of our domestic desktop was pathetic. You can reject it for its soothing blue aesthetic and fail to recognize the beauty inside these debits. A very high percentage of accountants in our nation green console worshipping desktop applications. For more construction of on-site server pricey installation, redundant ongoing IT maintenance. They gave us real-time information, can take place in several different team locations. Unlimited seats and easy collaboration. For ecosystem customization, choose your own software application. Goes through application, programming, interfaces, they create integrations. Two-step secure authentication. National Xero ambassadors, people like Liz Mason, they speak and teach and made certifications. They're trying to free Western civilization from green domination. Well, you need to know that they changed the game. Cloud-based safe space with a beautiful interface.
We in the cloud with Xero. We in the cloud with Xero.
Give it up for the ambitious bookkeeper, Serena Shue.
We in the cloud with Xero.
Woo! We at war. We at war with old ledgers and IRS agents. But most of all, we at war with broken bank connections.
Xero works.
God showed me the way because this ledger connects bank accounts.
Xero works with me.
Two-side hustlers, biz owners, accountants, tax preparers, even bookkeepers.
Xero works for them.
To the outsourced controllers, fractional CFOs, moms working from home.
Xero works for them.
Not Z, it's X. See bank feeds sync clearly. Xero keeps me and my team mostly green free. Cause desktop's almost nearly extinct. We cash code clients so fast we don't blink. I ain't here to argue about new QBO features or here to convert skeptics into believers. I'm just trying to say the way that books need keepers, the way Blake really needs Leary, that's the way I need Xero. So here goes my keynote, dog. We need more heroes. They say you can rap about anything except for zero. That means funds, tax, finance, AI, automate. But if I adopt cloud tech, my desktop won't integrate, huh? Is really machine learning? It'll probably automate my month ends. Then the weeks turn to days to seconds and integrate everything in the cloud. Let's go, XeroCon, everybody screaming out.
Xero works.
Rod, show me the way because this ledger connects bank accounts.
Xero works.
The only thing that I pray is bank feeds don't fail me now.
How do you feel when you watch that back now?
Oh man, it still feels surreal. So it still feels like it hasn't happened because that's exactly how I pictured it in my mind when I was writing it and everything. Like the room, the people standing up. I achieved what I had hoped for, and this was not my first performance, but it was definitely my best.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and it felt really good, and everybody got it too. It wasn't like I was going over anybody's head. It was just like magical, I would say. That's a good way to describe it. I'll just ask you, how did you feel when you saw that? Was it a surprise? Did you guys even know that that was happening?
I didn't know. We get so busy in the breakout stage area that we don't really kind of know what's happening with the rest of XeroCon. So it was a total surprise. And I won't lie, the first kind of little bit, I was like, what is happening? Because like the Star Wars theme at the beginning, I was like, what? And then I got it and I was loving it. I was like dancing along with you. It was great.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it was supposed to say a long time ago in a spreadsheet far away, not a galaxy, but that was a bit of a typo. Yeah. Like, because then it ties it in a little bit more too, because being in the US, a spreadsheet far away could be half a world away or a whole world away for us, all the way in New Zealand. But yeah,
it still worked. It was great.
Okay.
I think you smashed it.
So dope. Yeah, hopefully we can do that again in London or in Australia XeroCon. We'll see. Thanks for joining our students today. Thanks for traveling all across the pond to come up and share with us your wisdom from Xero in the US.
Thanks for having me, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, students, class dismissed.
Okay.